Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. It's 5 after 12 o'clock. Welcome back to the mid-morning talk with me, Julie Ali. I'm very excited about this interview. It is with director at Mahomed Salek Incorporated. We'll be talking with attorney Yashfeena Maheter, and this has to do with a special program targeted at women only. It is, of course, a program regarding the discussions of wills. Um, and so it's wills and estates in Islam. And the big question is, do you have an Islamic will? So I think that's what is going to be unpacked at this seminar. It's a sisters only seminar or program. It is happening in Lelucia on a Saturday, the oh no, it's past already. It happened Saturday past. So we're going to hear about how the women responded to this particular program and what we that were unable to attend, what we need to know about the program. Yashfeena, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Lovely to have you here.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, why did this come about? Why did you believe it was important to have a program such as this, Islamic wills and obviously estates and inheritance, etc.?
So the program was essentially the handiwork of Mulana Vanka. He noticed that there was a gap in the community where women did not fully understand the rights and their responsibilities in terms of wills. So I was provided the opportunity by him to empower and educate women, and I took it with both hands as I am passionate about empowering women, and this is an area of law that I do have extensive expertise.
And I would say not a moment too soon. And you're so right, and Maulana Vankar as well, because we women leave everything up to the hands of our husbands, our sons, and our brothers, or possibly even our fathers, thinking that they'll take care of everything. And sometimes that's not possible for various reasons. What do we need to know regarding our rights in preparing an Islamic will? And what will that Islamic will look like for a Muslim woman? And do I have the right, in fact, as a Muslim woman, to go ahead and work on my own will?
So, in Islam, it dictates if you have assets, you need to have a will. I think the misconception is that that we're unable to marry Islamic law to the legal framework that's in place in South Africa, which is completely incorrect. Also, as you had said previously, this was the work of our men in our community, of our husbands, of our fathers, of the businesswomen, of the businessmen. Now we have moved away from that realm. We're now going to women who are in business. We now have women with assets, and they need to know how to deal with their assets and what is their Islamic obligations and their responsibilities Islamically. So, therefore, a program like this is very important.
How did the women respond to the program? Are you encouraged that this was timed, duly, and inshallah going forward, this will become a regular event in our communities?
So I do believe that it was really important part of it was that it was a woman's only setting, right? Because the ultimate goal is to empower women. And particularly, as you said, on these topics, where previously it was thought that these topics or aspects, they are for men, of in the realm of men, for men to know, men to deal with, and for them to manage. But now we're seeing women in these situations and encountering these situations, and they're not navigating them as well because they have not been exposed to this knowledge. So the point of this program would be to give everybody the knowledge of their rights and their responsibilities in terms of Islamic law and in terms of the legal framework in South Africa to ensure that we have complied and that we are not left on the sidelines and that we are not at a disadvantage, but rather that we are at an advantage and that we have empowered ourselves with the knowledge and are doing what we are supposed to do.
So the all important question is, once again, as women, so we equip ourselves with this knowledge, um, and we now decide I want to draw up an Islamic will. And as you've indicated, that, in the past, we kind of felt disadvantaged because it wasn't connected or related to our civil law. What is the current status quo regarding that matter? And then, if I now decide to sit down and work on my Islamic will, once again, as a woman, I would want possibly approval from the men in my life, husband, father, son, brother, whatever, to say, am I on the right track? Is it okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the fact that you want advice from the men folk. But how do you view this? And how did women that attended the program respond to that? Did they kind of raise similar issues as well?
So the ladies at the program were fairly inquisitive and they did raise these issues. As we said, there are a lot of business women now. So people wanted to know, I run a business, I have a mom, I don't want to leave her with nothing. My understanding is that she's not entitled to anything, which is incorrect. Firstly, if we look at South African law and Muslim marriages and whether I'm allowed to inherit, Muslim marriages are recognized, but not to the full extent of a community of property marriages. So our rights, and responsibilities to inherit are limited. As far as the rights of inheritance goes in terms of Islamic law, it's dictated in the Quran, and it's easy enough to sit with someone and tell them Islamically this is who is entitled to inherit and what sort of proportions. If I have to comment on that, we go to our husbands, our men folk. In Islam, we always have mashura. We sit as a family and we make decisions together. But it's always nice for an alim to be involved because an alim has an education as to, the Islamic aspects of our lives. And they have the authority to say to us, listen, you have this special circumstance and this is what you need to do or how you need to comply. So whilst we should sit together as a family and make mashura, we are in South Africa, we have access to incredible alims, no shortage of them. We should also approach them or include them in the conversation to find out, listen, this is our specific circumstances. Please, can you assist me? I don't know what to do.
Okay, you made comment just now about community of property. My understanding, and I could be off the mark here totally, but I kind of always understood the anti-nuptial contract to be quite close to Islamic law as far as wills and inheritance is concerned. Your thoughts?
Yes, so an anti-nuptial contract, my understanding is that the alims do ask us to rather do anti-nuptial contracts because it is the closest to what Islam dictates. But that's on the basis that women in their marriages are not being taken advantage of.
Would you like to elaborate a little more on that, please?
For the purpose of staying on topic, I think we rather not.
I think it's an important point.
Okay, so uh, you know, in Islam, men are required to take care of their women, to contribute to their income, to contribute towards their expenses. And then people have this concept of, oh, we are married, anti-nuptial contract excluding accrual. So what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. Now you have a woman who's married now, and she's been told, oh, you married, anti-nuptial contract excluding accrual. You need anything, what's mine is mine. I'm not under an obligation to provide you with such. So in that instance, it's abuse of, trying to adhere to Islamic standards when you're not actually adhering to Islamic standards. You're picking and choosing which part of it,
Ah,
you want to actually keep to.
okay, okay. So it's kind of almost open to abuse, and it's un-Islamic. Would I be correct in thinking that?
So I would say it's open to abuse, but it's also, something that can be used to protect a woman's assets. So it can be abused and it can be used responsibly. We just have to be exceptionally mindful that we do what is right from an Islamic point of view and not abuse those rights that have been provided to us.
Okay, we're going for an ad break now, and when we come back, I'd like you to share some of the questions that were raised at the program. And of course, confidentiality is key here. We don't expect names to be mentioned or anything, but just some of the concerns. And clearly, if it was raised at the program, then these type of concerns are pretty widespread in our community. So do stay with us whilst we go for an ad break, and we'll connect with you again to talk about important issues and questions raised at the program, inshallah.
Penny Appeal's Education First campaign helps children to get access to quality education.
I'm 14 years old. When I grow up, I'd like to be a scientist.
We believe every child belongs at school,
And we want education, a better education.
learning and dreaming their way to a better future. With your help, we can provide classrooms, desks, stationery packs, and school shoes. Help make these dreams a reality. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, bakkies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name, Valley's Motor Spares.
You South African, of course. You anxious about the future. We've got you covered. Build on your wealth portfolio with Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange. Visit us at 151 Stephen Dlamini Road, Musgrave, Durban, or call us on 031-202-4700 for more information. Randry Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange, your passport to gold investment.
Dad, these Frymax chips are so tasty.
Wow, that really takes me back. My dad bought me a Frymax chips every day after school. They were my favorite when I was your age as well. Quality is at the very heart of what we do, and that's why we ensure that every Frymax packet is filled with the beautiful goodness and flavor-packed taste that you've come to expect from us since 1982. Frymax, from generation to generation.
It's a new beginning. It's a new era. Salam Media. Humanitarian journalism.
Welcome back. It is exactly 18 after 12 o'clock. We're talking with Yashfeena Maheter. She is an attorney and, of course, director at Mahomed Salek Incorporated. We're talking about an amazing program they ran over the weekend. It was a women's only program, and it was a discussion of in wilderness states. It was a sisters only program. The key question there was, do you have an Islamic will? So back to you then, Yashfeena, and some of the questions that came about. And before you respond, I need to say this. How about talking with your colleagues in Gauteng, in Johannesburg, and in the Western Cape, and have them organize these type of programs for us here as well? I think it's so important. I think we need to be empowered to be able to start applying our minds to these type of issues. So back to you then.
Okay, so in terms of the questions raised, there were a lot of questions which centered around whether we can be legally compliant and Sharia compliant. And we've covered this earlier in the conversation, in that we can actually do both things and comply with both aspects of it. We also discussed where we have people who maintain their parents, women who maintain their parents, and the question was, look, will my mom inherit from me? Yes, she will inherit from your estate in a certain proportion. Other queries that were raised were in respect of the division of assets during the lifetime of elderly parents, whether the laws of inheritance apply to parents whilst they are alive. And people were under the misconception that what the laws of inheritance apply to what parents or what people with assets can do now. The other query that was also raised was usufructs, whether a usufruct can be left to a woman upon the passing away of her husband, but ownership can be given to the heirs. And that is an unequivocal no. An asset has to be given, and it has to be given freely. Another query that was raised was that what happens if I have young children? What happens to their share? So the way around that was that in wills, you'd have to be fairly specific to state that, listen, this is where my child's share is going to go, and it will not go to the guardian's fund, and how that child's share will be taken care of and by whom it will be taken care of. And that solved the issue of having young children where at the time where you passed away. Another query that was raised was in respect of executors. Who is the best person to be the executor of my estate? And my answer there would be the person who has the most interest, because they have the most to lose and they would want to gain their assets as quick as possible. So they would not delay the process. Whereas if you were to appoint someone who has no interest in this estate and who has his own responsibilities, you're going to be placing a burden on that person now to fulfill that role as an executor. So the important takeaway there was that let your executor know that you'd like to appoint them, confirm that they have capacity, and possibly rather appoint an heir or a spouse in order to wind up this estate, in order to ensure that it's done timeously.
So, when we talk about Islamic wills, is it as straightforward as I have always understood it? I know that every year without fail, we have Wills Awareness Day and Wills Awareness Week, and the Jamiyat and a whole host of other organizations then urge you to get your, your plans, your life, and your will in place, because if you don't, then you obviously create difficulties for the people that have survived you. What is the simplest, least complicated way to do an Islamic will? Do you go via your bank? Do you go to an alim? And obviously, in a situation like this, is it the right thing to do to inform your spouse or your heirs to say, this is what my will looks like, and I would appreciate that you upkept my wishes once I pass on?
So, in respect of who do I go to do a will, I would say go to an attorney who your family has a relationship with, and sit down with that attorney who would possibly know your personal circumstances. Alternatively, you tell them your personal circumstances so that they can define your shares upon your demise. That way, as much as we look at a simple, quick solution, it's better to work through the motions, get all of the information, and actually provide the person with the solution, with the will that meets their requirements, that meets the legal requirements, and that gives them the shares. Then there can be no vagueness, there can be no ambiguity, there can be no issues. In respect of letting my children know, of my spouse know what is in my will, that depends on family dynamics. However, I do believe that if the children or the spouse know that, listen, there is this will, this is what this will states, upon the person's demise, there's nobody fighting, there's no confusion. Everybody understands how this estate is going to devolve. It creates less infighting and more unity amongst the family. This is my personal experience.
And I think that's an experience of a lot of people in our community. It is so sad. We are told time and time again that we as Muslims get direction regarding our wills. In the Holy Quran, alhamdulillah, we know how to share up, to break down the will so that everybody is well provided for regarding share amounts for sons, daughters, brothers, etc., etc. Despite that, we still find that once our loved one has passed away, there's a lot of infighting and the family unit just breaks down completely. So let's look at this nuclear family, Yashfina. Father, mother, and only two sons, no daughters. On both sides of the families, there are no parents involved. So the mother then decides, my will is going to be simple and straightforward. I'm going to leave everything to my husband because I have only two sons. So if I pass away before him, my inheritance goes to him. And when he passes away, everything gets divided equally between our two sons. Is it as simple and, as simple as I'm stating it? Or do you still have to engage with an attorney and put everything in writing? We also have lots of wills that are banks and the Jamiat, etc. They all have wills on their websites, and you're given to believe that it's as simple as downloading the will, printing it, signing it off, and done and dusted.
It is as simple as downloading it and printing it. However, how many people, how many of us read the instructions before we complete this document? Most people do not read the instructions, and there's legal requirements in this country for a document to be accepted as a will. Now, on all of those documents, it states that it has to be signed in full by two witnesses and by the testator, the person who is leaving the will, on each and every page. There are certain requirements, and unfortunately, what happens is that sometimes it's just signed, it's not witnessed. Alternatively, the document is incomplete. There isn't an executor there, or the names of the heirs are left out, or a page is not signed, or a page is not witnesses, or there's different witnesses. I would say, to be safe and for the purpose of completeness, look, we want to do things, we want to do it properly. And so therefore, I think it would be best to go and consult with your legal practitioner who you are familiar with and ask them to please do you an Islamic will, because they will ensure that they have complied with the legal requirements and also ensure compliance with your Islamic requirements. I've seen far too many times where wills have not been accepted that were the downloaded wills. And unfortunately, it was through no fault of.
Okay, we seem to have lost Yashfeena Maheter. I think she's still there. She can hear us. Yashfeena, if you can hear me, we are going to wrap up in a minute or two. And in closing, I would like you to share with us anything important that you believe we should know as women regarding the preparation of our wills and estates, of course. Nope, I think we've lost her. Let me just wrap up by saying that Yashfeena Maheter, who is an attorney, she's also a director at Mahomed Salek Incorporated, together with Maulana Vanker. They prepared a sisters only program in Islam. This was held last week on the 26th of July from 11 o'clock to 12:30. It was in La Lucia, and of course it was really targeting Muslim women and the will. They covered things like a guide on how to draw up your Islamic will, They also provided practical advice and insights on handling estates and empowering our mothers and sisters with essential knowledge. Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from Yashfeena, from Maulana Vankar, and everybody that was involved. In closing, Yashfeena, is there anything else of importance you'd like to leave us with?
Just to say that there are resources available. There's World's Week coming up in September. There's no excuse to not have a will. There's no excuse to not have an Islamic, a will that is compliant with Sharia and with the law. So please go to your legal practitioner in your area, in your community, and get a will done, so that when you pass away, you've passed away knowing that you have done what you're supposed to do from an Islamic point of view, and from a legal point of view, you haven't left behind something for your family to fix.
Yashfeena, I do salute you and everybody involved with you that organize this workshop. And I hope and pray that your colleagues in Johannesburg and Cape Town follow suit and sort something like this out for us to attend as well. So thank you indeed. Go well. Allah accept from you, inshallah, and salaam alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah for the opportunity.
Absolutely a pleasure. It is 12:31. We're moving along on the mid-morning talk show with me, Julie Ali. And next, we're going to be talking with Nimra Ali. She's the founder of the Al Noor Center for Autism. And thereafter, at about 1 o'clock, we'll be talking to Shaheen Isup from Sahuk. We're giving Sahuk the right of reply on an interview I did yesterday with the SJU.